even distant with me. My sister Maya said this day would be black in Helena's calendar for the rest of her life. Maya knew what it was to lose a child. At first I could not believe Helena would ever come out of it. It seemed to me we might never even reach that point where grief only overtook her on anniversaries. She stayed frozen at the moment when she was told her boy was dead. All action fell to me. It was not a legal necessity, but I named him Marcus Didius Justinianus. In my place, many fathers would not have bothered. His birth would not be registered. He had no civic identity. Perhaps I was wrong. I just had to decide what to do. His mother had survived, but for the moment I was alone, trying to hold the family together, trying to choose what formalities were appropriate. It all became even more difficult after I learned what else had happened on that day. A tiny swaddled bundle had been placed in a room we rarely used. What was I to do next? A newborn should receive no funeral rites. He was too small for full cremation. Adult burials must be held outside the city. Families who can afford it build a mausoleum beside a high road for their embalmed bodies or cremation urns. That had never been for us. Ashes of the plebeian Didii are kept in a cupboard for a time and then mysteriously lost. My mother revealed that she'd always taken her stillborns to the Campania farm where she grew up, but I could not leave my distraught family. Helena's father, the senator, offered me a niche in the tumble-down columbarium of the Camilli on the Via Appia, saying sadly, "It will be a very small urn." I thought about it, but was too proud. We live in a patriarchal society. He was my son. I don't give two figs for formal rules, but disposal was my responsibility. Some people inter newborn babies under a slab in a new building. None was available, and I jibbed at making our child into a votive offering. I don't annoy the gods. I don't encourage them either. We lived in an old townhouse at the foot of the Aventine with a back exit, but almost no ground. If I dug a tiny grave among the sage and rosemary, there was a horrendous possibility children at play, or cooks digging holes to bury fish bones, might one day turn up little Marcus's ribs accidentally. I climbed up to our roof terrace and sat alone with the problem. The answer came to me just before stiffness set in. I would take my sad bundle out to my father's house. We ourselves had once lived there, up on the Janiculum hill across the Tiber. In fact, I was the idiot who first bought the inconvenient place. I'd since worked a swap with my father, but it still seemed like home. Although Pa was a reprobate, his villa offered the baby a resting place where, when Helena was ready for it, we could put up a memorial stone. I wondered briefly why my father had not yet come with condolences. Normally when people wanted time alone, he was a first-footer. He could smell tragedy like newly cooked bread. He was bound to let himself in with that house key he would never give back to me, then irritate us with his insensitivity. The thought of Pa issuing platitudes to shake Helena out of her sadness was dire. He would probably try to get me drunk. Wine was bound to feature in my recovery one day, but I wanted to choose how, when, and where the medicine was applied. The dose would be poured by my best friend, Petronius Longus. The only reason I'd not sought him out so far was delicacy, because he, too, had lost young children. Besides, I had things to do first. My mother was staying at our house. She would continue to do so as long as she believed she was needed. Perhaps that would be longer than we really wanted, but Ma would do what she thought best. Helena wanted no part in the funeral. She turned away, weeping, when I told her what I planned to do. I hoped she approved. I hoped she knew that dealing with this was the only way I could try to help her. Albia, our teen-aged foster daughter, intended to accompany me, but in the end even she was too upset. Ma might have made the pilgrimage, but I gratefully left her to look after little Julia and Favonia. I would not ask her to see Pa, from whom she had been bitterly estranged for 30 years. If I had asked, she might have forced herself to come and support me, but I had enough to endure without that worry. So I went alone. And I was alone, therefore, when the subdued slave